I want to ask you about the history of some of your past relationships. And don't worry, guys. I already know. I think I know this, so I'm waiting to be surprised. If I'm surprised here, look forward to me saying I'm single on my Instagram next week. No, I'm just kidding. But let's talk about some past relationships. Which relationship do you think maybe hurt you, but also inspired you the most? We'll start with the hurt part.
Right.
Okay.
I think it's the same relationship that hurts you and inspires you because when you're as hurt as you are, you
Right.
tend to like want to grow from it, right?
Are you trying to steal my job here? or
No.
what's going on? Go on.
But I was in this relationship when I was around 17, still young enough to make stupid decisions, but for 3 years. And then when that ended, because he had cheated, I was like, oh my God, what is the world without this person, right? As most of us are. And I think it inspired me. I do think a lot of women, when you go through something really bad, you want to change your entire narrative, right? You want to
Right.
be this whole new person. You get the haircut, you get everything changed.
Right.
So I think I went completely in that direction as well.
Right.
And
Before we go into the direction you moved into, which I think is awesome, as you said, as a woman, sometimes you want to switch your identity almost, you know,
Right.
because you hope that okay, if this didn't work, maybe
because
the
you
other side-
identify so much with the relationship, right?
That's a huge point that you identify so much with a relationship that when the relationship ends, you no longer want to hold on to that identity.
Right.
Because you feel like that identity brought you pain. So now you want to create a new identity. Before we do the creating identity, what hurt you about that relationship?
I think like my attachment to the person, because now when I think about it from a completely outsider's perspective and I'm like reanalyzing it, almost like when I sit with my friends who have seen me from then and now, and they're like, oh my God, you've changed so much. Because I identified so much with that person that my whole life was like about that person, like my whole world, right?
Right.
And the other thing is when that's suddenly snatched from you, A, you lose your identity.
Yeah.
B, you're also trying to figure out who you are because we dated for 3 years and I was 20. And when you're 20, again, you're really conscious. You're conscious at every age, but
Right.
like you're even more conscious. And then you're just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Then the other aspect of how did he cheat? Because I am not someone who's ever cheated. And like for me to even like
Understand
understand
it.
that and comprehend that was very difficult.
Wow, that's huge. I have heard it before, so I mean, but I still sympathize, you know, because cheating is something that's so hard to cope with, especially if you're on the receiving end. You know my history. I mean, all of you guys listening, I've spoken about this multiple times, but I am someone who's cheated on my partners before. And actually, this makes me ask you a really interesting question because you know my past, right? And that I am someone who had cheated on someone. And yet you actively chose me. You said, I want to choose this person. You chose me, and you actively still choose me. But you were also someone who got hurt. So now, this is such a powerful question for you. Why did you choose me then? You know, if maybe, and I told you this history before we made any major commitments because I like now to be more transparent and honest. You know your history. So why did you still choose me?
I think even looking back at that relationship, right? At that moment, it was cheating. But now when I look back, it was a lot more than just cheating, right? When I analyzed my partner's life at that time, like when I present day analyze his life at that time, I'm like, wow, but he was like, I could have anticipated it, right?
Wow, you could have anticipated
Yeah.
it.
But I
Right.
think I was avoiding the signs, everything as well, because you want to be in that whole dilemma that, oh, like nothing's
Yeah.
going to happen. It only happens in other relationships, not mine. But I also see, excuse me, I also see the person you are now. And I tell you this, it's like two different lifetimes, right? You aren't the same person because of the growth you've had. And I really hope and do pray that that person's not the same person in their next relationship. Because even I'm not the same, so I can't expect you to be the same. And I think I chose you because once I did start my own healing, right? I went into this bubble of knowing that this is who I want, right? I don't want to identify with someone completely, but as funny as this sounds, I do want someone who has like the good attributes of my own dad. I've grown up with a very, as you know, your favorite person in the world.
I love your dad.
But like he's made me grow up in a way where my first experience with a man, a masculine, has always been a positive thing. It's never been like he showed up and like, my father's very obsessed with me and I love it. But
He does say that she's the favorite amongst the kids.
I mean, you can say it very openly. Everyone knows. But the whole thing of you want this person who's a provider, who shows up for you. Like my dad has never missed any of my events, and I really wanted someone like that as well. Someone who shows up for me in the masculine way that I was looking for. And you fit the bill. Plus, you're cute.
I'm cute, yay! But I mean, what's really nice, what's really nice to hear is, well, I hear a few different things, and I think again for my audience who's listening, they also, a lot of them grew up in North America. I know you grew up in the East. A lot of them grew up in North America, but it's important for them to understand what a healthy idea of masculinity is, what a healthy idea of a relationship is. And I can also tell you, I wasn't always this guy I am. I was in love probably with more masculine women who provided, who took care of anything. I wanted to be that Peter Pan, who didn't have to make the money and stuff. And my own healing simultaneously, without me forcing it, made me take accountability of my own energy. And I think the same is true of a lot of feminine women, because you need the polar to attract each other, right? Like you need a strong feminine, a strong masculine that creates like a polar attraction. So if you have a woman who's embodying the masculine, she's likely to find a man who's embodying the feminine,
Right.
more often than not. And so even for a lot of you who are listening, a lot of you who identify as the feminine or as women, if you actively just do your healing or consciously do your healing, unconsciously the other elements of you will start to come out, like your powerful feminine energy. Because if there's something I can tell you, I know that my wife is extremely feminine, and she's very powerfully feminine. And the best part of that for me is after I started to embody my own masculine energy and I started to grow into it and understand, okay, what does this mean? What does it mean to be someone who's disciplined, committed, structured, shows up, someone who doesn't flake, someone who provides like security, etc., is that there's a lot of the other things, the flow, the trust, the spirituality, the feeling of just letting go, of relaxing, of flow, which I think I said, which I can't give myself as much. And that's why I think I was so strongly attracted to Aisha. And what was so interesting, I just want to tell you guys really quick, is when we met, it wasn't an active or conscious choice of me to say, okay, I want to meet this person. In fact, I was going on a boys' trip with my friends, and I told them just before we got on the trip, I was like, you know what, guys? I just went through some difficult relationships. In fact, the relationship I just went through before that made me think to myself, like, how will I ever manifest someone who loves travel? Because I'm always moving. How will I manifest someone who believes she can have a family with me if I'm a man who's always moving? So then I was willing to give up everything. So I just said, while I'm just in that mode, let me take time off for myself. Let me let go. Let me love who I am and just enjoy a good holiday with my friends. And then boom, Aisha was sitting on the seat, not next to me, but the one after. And we met on an airplane, literally. And from that point, everything was so serendipitous, including how we connected, how we worked. And I don't just think it's because we liked each other. I think it's because both of our energy, Aisha had gone through so much of her own healing. I know I had gone through so much of my own healing. And it's because we had gone through that we became this powerful masculine, this powerful feminine, who were ready to allow each other into our lives, who were ready to commit to this higher vision. And she scared the hell out of me when she said after 3 days of us being together, she's like, I'm going to marry you someday. And I told my friends, I was like, this is a crazy girl. Please keep her away from me.
Guys, he doesn't remember what he said, but he said we would have perfect babies. And that sold me. I was like, wow.
I did say that, but that was like a joke. I didn't think she was taking it seriously, But the energy is so undeniable when you have this powerful connection and chemistry that making a commitment becomes so much easier. When you have the supporting energy, and you can call it love, love is the easiest way to use it, but when you have the supporting energy of being authentic, who you are, who I am, who she is, when you have the supporting energy of us feeling like we can be our best selves with each other, then falling in love becomes easier. And then committing to that love, committing to that relationship becomes even easier, Would you agree?
No, I do agree. And I do think that, once you also believe in that letting go and believe in that sense that it's also meant for you, you stop the hunt for it, right?
Right.
Like most of us, because of like dating apps or like everyone that goes to a club, you want that hookup, you want that instant, that Hollywood love, right?
Right.
But the moment you let go and you start to believe in that sense of commitment and like when it's going to come to you, it's going to come. There's a lot of that sense where you let go of that
Yeah.
really strengthens your power almost.
Right. It's funny, we talked about feminine, and as we said, that you're very feminine. Would you say that letting go is also is a very powerful, like, feminine energy?
I think it is. I really do think it is because when Yats and I first met, he didn't want to be with me, guys.
Hey,
But
there's a reason. There was like, it's not just that I didn't like her, okay? Even though she scared me with the 3 day we will get married thing, and we are married. It was long distance, etc.
but it was long distance and it just didn't make sense that it would work out, right? And at that moment, for the first time in my life, I was just like, I am done holding on to anything that is not meant for me.
Wow.
I am gonna let go. If it comes back, it comes back. I've shown you my journal where I've
Yeah.
written God, I believe in God, and people may call it the universe, God, whatever that is. But I said, whatever is, I know you know what's best, but I know what's good too. But you're always gonna give me the best. So I'm gonna let go. And from that moment, like, whether it's my jobs as well, like, this, the more anxiously attached I am to it, the more I'm like, I need to get this, baby, I need it, I need it, I need it. I never end up getting it. So I think that letting go thing, it's feminine, but it's of so much value to everyone out there.
Absolutely. I think, and that's the thing. I hope those of you who understand, if this is a new idea to you, I want to explain this again, that masculine and feminine energies live inside of all of us. And at different moments, we need some masculine. Like when you're in survival mode, more likely than not, you will get into a masculine energy because that's around survival, which is why, unfortunately, a lot of single parents, a lot of single mothers primarily get into very masculine spaces because they're in survival mode. They're taking care of their kids, they're taking care of themselves. But also, the feminine energy of trust, faith, flow, these are things that, I'll be completely honest, even for myself, I used to dance with these a lot before because I was more feminine before, so it was easier. Now it comes a little harder when I'm trying to create and build like a castle or a kingdom for us or our family or my business. That trust and faith element, I could use more, which is kind of why, you also partner with someone who can provide so much of that. But I think a lot of women could use a little more of